Work as a GS camp counselor 1 year, thanks to friend. Partnered with girl from Sweden, named Eva. Given basic kit for camp, including fire shovel, hatchet, electric bullhorn, and electric camp lanterns. No radio or the like. Campsites are all within shouting distance of one another. Tents are all platform type, built into hillside so each has a balcony. Tents 1 and 8 have steepest drop-off and best views, but are most isolated. Eva and I stayed in the tent with the star. Only 5 tents occupied at any time. Girls are allowed to pick their tents. Blue trails on map were virtually impassable, which meant anyone coming or going had to pass our tent to get to the others. 3 batches of campers, aged 10 to 11, come and go uneventfully. Eva complains the heat is giving her weird nightmares. Joke that it's all the preteen hormones and boy talk stressing her out. 4th batch of campers comes in. 2 girls claim to see a bear in our latrines Wednesday night of camp. Huge bear, had to stoop to fit under awning. Eva and I find nothing other than a few open doors. Not supposed to be anything bigger than a raccoon in the area anyway. Dismiss it as overactive imaginations. Next night, blood-curdling screams and safety whistle blasts from next campsite over. Eva and I get out of the tent to find out what the fuck is going on. Hear something running through the woods up the hill from our campsite, but do not see anything. Campers are all understandably freaked out. Go tent to tent, calming them down. Next morning, talk to counselor from next camp over. Find out 2 tents of girls claim to have seen a bear, or Bigfoot. They are like 9 and can't agree on what they saw. Camp decides it might be a bear and take up all contraband food to prevent it from sticking around. Weekends normally, and campers go home. Meeting is called on bear safe day for all counselors. New camp week starts with next batch of campers. Shit gets worse. 2 campsite trash boxes are trashed overnight the first night of the week. Heavy boxes with padlocks designed to keep large animals out. One's lid is almost completely pried off, the other is dented to all hell. Instructed to bring garbage to incinerator each night and leave lock boxes open after that. More sightings of the bear from campers during the day, but none can be confirmed and are put down to paranoia. Next night, campers in my campsite screaming bloody murder. Eva and I tear out of the tent and run through the woods to tent 8. She managed to grab the hatchet. I've got a lamp and the bullhorn. Almost break my fucking ankle on a tree root. Eva and I run to the tent. Can't get in because idiots use square knots instead of slip knots. Hear more screaming and crying. Finally get into the tent. It came over the balcony. It tried to come in. All 3 girls fucking freaking out. Finally get them calm. They'd heard something snuffling around under their tent and had tried to stay quiet, hoping it would go away. Screaming had started when they figured out it was trying to get into the tent. Girls had braced their spare mattress at the end of the tent to keep a sleepwalking bunkmate from falling over the edge of the platform, tied square knots to keep her from wandering out at night. Mattress is smeared with mud, but no claw marks like you would expect from a bear trying to invade. Tell them to get their shit, that we'll go to our tent for the rest of the night. More fucking screams, this time on the other side of the camp. Screams mixed with safety whistle blasts. Can't see lights from tent 1 and assume that is who is losing their shit. Tent 8 girls don't want us to leave. One is just sobbing and trying to hide under a cot. Eva and I run across the campsite in the dark again after telling them to get in the tent and tie it back up. No idea what we're going to do with a hatchet and bullhorn against a bear. Are we fucking stupid? Yes, we are fucking stupid. Blasting the siren button on the bullhorn the whole way across camp, hoping it will scare the bear off. Get to the tent. 4 girls inside, all with the same story as the first tent. Girls were already awake from the first round of screaming and had their flashlights and whistles out already. Heard something under the platform and started screaming their little hearts out when it came up the platform. Said it ran away when the siren started blasting from the bullhorn. Check around the platform the best we can in the dark. No signs of a bear or any animal in the area, nor any tracks under the platform. One girl claims the bear had a white face and long, scrawny arms. Two other girls insist that was just a reflection from the flashlights. Last girl said she was too scared to look. All four girls agree it was huge, with arms spread wider than the tent platform. That's it. Enough of this shit. Take them with us through the camp, making lots of noise as we walk. Get the girls singing one of the chants and blast the siren for good measure. Go tent to tent, rounding up our campers and tell them to all hold hands. Lead them down to the outdoor lodge where meals and crafting stuff takes place. Sandra and Leanne, organizers on admin duty for the week, are already up and waiting for us. Sandra keeps the girls busy assembling carts in the lodge while Leanne talks to us and we figure out what the fuck to do. She agrees that the bear situation is getting too dangerous and goes with Leanne to call in the other campers and counselors. We get alternately praised for rescuing our girls and chewed out for going after a bear without proper protection. While they are gone, Eva tells me that the dreams she's been having are about a big, shaggy monster coming into our tent every night. It's big, black, and has a white human face in the middle of the fur. Tell her not to fuck around and try to get the kids to sleep. She insists that she is serious. Leave Eva to try to get the kids to sleep. Other campsites start rolling in with their girls. Not enough beds for almost 100 people, so bodies everywhere on the floor. Next morning rolls around, and other organizers show up for breakfast. They had no fucking clue we were in the lodge until they showed up. No sign of Sandra and Leanne. Sandra last seen on her way back to organize more cots. Leanne last seen on her way back with the last group of girls to come in. Organizers disturbed by this fact for obvious reasons. Park rangers and police called in. The rest of the day is pretty much chaos. Girls are taken back to their tents to get their shit and clear out one tent at a time with no fewer than 3 counselors in attendance. Police and rangers taking witness statements and investigating tents and campsites. Rumor that they are bringing in helicopter and dogs, but never saw either. Parents are called and come pick up their kids. Organizers arranged to take international counselors home with them until flights can be rescheduled. No sign of bears, no sign of anything bigger than a raccoon, like we were told to begin with. No sign of Sandra or Leanne. A couple of days later, a black bear suffering from rabies was destroyed by animal control a couple of counties south of the campsite. During the necropsy, they confirmed rabies and also found partially digested human remains. There was apparently nothing that could be used to identify the remains, but the conclusion was that this bear had been terrorizing the camp and had attacked and eaten at least one part of one of the missing organizers. The rest of the remains were never found. Given Eva's reoccurring dream, and what the girls had said about the thing having a white face and gangly arms, I am not fully convinced about it being the bear's doing. Haven't been camping since. Also, was an idiot and forgot to attach the map to the first post, so it's on this one. All of the tents were within about 100 yards of the tent we stayed in, but the paths were really rough cut and uneven. The fact that I didn't break my ankle was pretty miraculous. Be me, 2 years ago, moving with girlfriend. Second floor apartment in a very white trash kind of area in New England. Rent is $900 a month, not bad given our jobs. 2 weeks after moving in was when some very minor paranormal activity began. It was objects falling down or being moved somewhere else, light thumps every now and there. This would be how activity continues for about 2 months. 2 months into living there, it's one night when we hear something moving about in the kitchen. For context, our kitchen only had one door out, and that was to the hallway that led up to our house's 3rd floor. The door was locked. All the doors were locked. Head out armed, with not a gun, but the typical baseball bat. No one is in the kitchen. This happens again a week later. sound of someone fucking about in the kitchen becomes a once-a-week occurrence at night. About a month later, my girlfriend has a day off when she is asleep on the couch, wakes up and sees a man in the apartment. She calls the police, but they find no evidence anyone but her and the dog were in the apartment at the time. Describes what she saw as a normal-looking man, white in maybe his 30s or something like that, but wearing blue, all dark blue. The blue man, as I dubbed him, would be seen regularly. He would appear randomly, not just in the apartment, but all over the property. I've even seen him once in the backyard, early one morning. There was also a shadow person. I started seeing it randomly. Would always get a threatening vibe from him when I'd see it, like it hated us or something. No, there was never an instance where the blue man and the shadow person were seen at the same time. Shadow person was strictly in the house and all the apartments, while blue man was not bound to just inside the house. At some point, a family moved into the 3rd floor. It was a week when the mom came down to our apartment and asked us if we heard anything strange. Told her yes. The mom tells us about an encounter her son had. Her son, who was maybe 10 or so, told her he saw a young boy staring in through the 3rd floor window. Just typing that made me so uneasy. Immediately creeped out. For those keeping score at home, that is officially 3 ghosts in one house. 10 months into living in the house, the activity ramps up. What used to be objects falling became objects flying off the kitchen counter, items tossed off the couch, etc. Girlfriend learns the 1st floor tenants have also run into the blue man. Then comes in the basement. God, I hated that basement. Every time I went down there, it felt like I was being watched. This dark and hateful energy just came over me whenever I was down there. There was clearly a presence that wanted me out of there, and I would oblige. One night while doing laundry down there, I heard what I can only describe as a guttural hiss. I would begin hearing the hissing noise around the apartment from time to time after that. One night, all the tenants are outside in the backyard. The mom on the 3rd floor tells me another story of how the shadow person would come into her son's room at night and tell him awful things, like how his father hated him and how he was a mistake, a burden on his parents, no one will ever love him, etc. That sends chills down my spine. Around this time, the sound of people talking outside on the front porch could be heard. Heard voices that sound like none of the neighbors, but could not make out their words. They sound like they are arguing. The arguing escalates and then stops. There is also the sound of a phantom car that pulls into the driveway at night that never leaves or is ever seen. At around the 1-year mark, I would have an encounter with the man in blue. He was trying to speak to me. I could not quite get the grasp of what he was trying to say to me, but I could see the words on his lips seemed frantic. He just disappears. The activity in the home seems to hit its peak when one night, both girlfriend and I encounter the shadow person. It begins trying to do something, like it's expanding itself. I'm not sure how to explain it. Girlfriend and I book it, take the dog, and spend the night sleeping in the car. Morning after, I see cop cars at the house. 1st floor tenant told some story about some homeless person breaking in and scaring us out. We spend the next few months trying to get ourselves out of that place. As this happens, the activity continues, but less severe. Sightings of the blue man seem to keep up. Around November 2019, the girlfriend word of mouth finds a place for us, smaller and 1st floor, but better. Rent is only about 100 less, but that is a steal. Not sure what happened to the other tenants, but I heard both 1st floor is still there. 3rd moved in with relatives. To this day, I am unsure of who the blue man is. I never really bothered to look into it. Encountering him was scary because a ghost, but he never seemed threatening. Never did figure out anything about the child ghost, the hissing, or the entity in the basement. Be me. A couple years ago now. Be in New Orleans with buddies for a summer trip. Be at a bar one night, minding my own business. Couple is sitting across from me. They seem pretty strange. Notice they have sunglasses on, indoors, with the lights on. Strange, but okay. Buddies arrive and we order food, watch the TV, and just bullshit between us. Sneak a look at the weird couple. One is this tall white dude, maybe 6'3". The other is this sort of Asian looking girl. She was about a foot, maybe less, shorter than him. Go to the bathroom. Taking the worst, most painful constipation shit ever. Hear someone come in. See through the stall, it's the weird guy with the sunglasses on. This sudden heavy feeling comes down on me, like I should be very afraid of this man. Notice from the crack of the stall door that his reflection is weird. It's distorted, like it was fuzzy. It's a few minutes before he leaves, but it felt like hours. Eventually, I return out to hang with my friends. That feeling of fear, maybe dread, is back. I see the strange couple conversing. I see the man. He seems to look at me. Can't make out what they're saying. Pretend to not notice that they are giving me looks. Brush it off and go back to just chilling. Little while later, the bar food does not agree with my stomach. Run out the back entrance to around the dumpster to puke. After throwing up, I feel myself being thrown on the ground. It's the man in sunglasses. He pulls me up and pins me against the dumpster. I don't know who you are, but you agree you saw nothing, correct? I stutter. You fucking saw nothing. Got it? Nod in agreement. He lets go of me. The girl seemingly showed up out of nowhere. Head back into the bar. Turn around and see they are gone. Nowhere in sight. Alright, I'm liquored up enough. Here we fucking go. 1991. Was about 10 years old. Poor as dirt and lived out on a farm. By poor as dirt, I mean we literally had nothing. No TV, no cameras, and besides a radio, nothing. We lived in a really rural area in the northernmost part of Wisconsin. No neighbors for more than a few miles. At home alone because my mom and dad needed to go into town to get some supplies. Listening to some shit I can't remember when someone bangs on the door. Strange, since we normally do not get people out here. Go to the door. There is a fucking crack in the door. Motherfucker hit so hard, there was a crack in it. Peek through the crack to ask him what was going on. He was naked and covered in blood. Pick related. Ask him what the fuck he was doing on our doorstep. I got in a car accident. Can you let me in to call someone to pick me up? The dude's tone was flat, kinda like how a computer sounds when it speaks. Tell him to get the fuck out before I go all mafia on his ass. He smiles and says that I won't regret it if I let him in. Get freaked the fuck out and run upstairs to get my dad's shotgun. Was a small kid back then, so it was heavy to hold and almost knocked me flat when I first shot it. Motherfucker was reaching through the crack to try and get in. Shoot his ass. I knew I hit him because he pulled the fuck back and started running, looked out of the crack, and got ready to shoot him again when I see him running into the woods. On 4 fucking legs. Not how a person walks or crawls on 4 legs. This dude was like a fucking bear or something by how he ran. Too scared to shoot him again. Parents come home to me crying in the corner with a gun next to me. Dad freaks the fuck out when I tell him what happened. He said I could have some of the ice cream he got from me while he went out and tried to look for the dude. Came back the next day and immediately called my uncle who lived in Milwaukee to come and pick me up. The night before my uncle picked me up, I was doing my chores and checking on the cows. The same dude was in the barn eating one of the stillborn calves. Nope. Go back to the house and tell my dad that some guy was helping himself to a burger in our barn. Goes out there with a gun and threatens to skin the dude if he comes back. The guy just laughs and walks off into the woods. Never came back. My wife and I are staying in a cabin her uncle built on some land her grandparents owned. Place is pretty nice, power and everything. In the middle of nowhere though. We spend most of the first day just randomly walking around. That night I crash hard after taking some sleep aids. Wife wakes me up around 2 a.m. There is something outside. Duh, it's the woods. No, I didn't know what it is. It looked like a person. Like Bigfoot? I'm serious. Stop being a dick and go look. Fine. Get up. Go to the window. Something's standing behind our car. Just standing there. Not really large or anything. Maybe 5 feet tall. Click the outside light on. It ducks behind the car. Can see it through the glass. This has got to be a person or something. Grab the fire poker from beside the stove. Step outside. Wife is freaking out, telling me to stay inside. Yell, "Hey, whoever you are, get the fuck out of here." It doesn't move. "Dude, I can see you. You're scaring the hell out of Maddie." It ducks lower. Okay, I'm going to have to go out there. Raise the fire poker and start towards the car. It does not budge. Freaks me out a bit. Round the side of the car. Thing is crouched beside the car. All white/grey. Naked and mostly hairless. I jump back. It runs away on all fours. Wife saw it pretty clearly as it ran. Says it ran like a rabbit. I rush back into the cabin. Yeah, we are leaving. We start packing stuff. Get everything together. I go out ahead of her and put everything in the car. Just as I push everything into the trunk, I glance towards the cabin. Thing is crouched at the corner of the cabin, peeking in the window. I usher her out and get her in the car. Lock the doors. Go back to the cabin, lock it up. Still got the fire poker. Run back to the car. Thing is creeping towards the car, really low to the ground. Wife would not have seen it because of the angle. Yell at it. It freezes, but otherwise does not react. I get in the car. Drive the fuck out of there. Headlights catch it, running towards the woods. I got into a bar fight with a cryptid or demon or something once. Never learned what it actually was. Be me, 23, full of piss and vinegar. Best friend invites me to visit his family with him way out in the sticks for a week or two. Nothing better to do, in between jobs, so agree. Introduces me to his family, all very friendly and chill. His grandpa seems intense, slow to speak, but always sounds very considered and sure about what he's saying. Warns me about going too far from the house at night, being a city boy and all. Tell him I've been on hunting trips before, which I had, and I know my way around the woods. Not these woods. Goes on to start some story about inhuman things in the area, but the rest of the family quickly shut him up before he gets anywhere. One night the men are out for a drink at the local bar. Me, friend, his dad, his uncle, his gramps. They make a point of telling me this building is probably older than my great-great-grandfather or whatever, like centuries old. Place is quiet. We are just shooting the shit and drinking, when I see friend looking nervous about something. Follow his eyes and see a guy sitting in the corner next to the door. Bulky dude with bright red hair. Before I can get a good look, Gramps grabs my arm. He's got a death grip on me. I look at him, and he looks terrified. I look around, and so does everyone else, all staring at their drinks or the table. Slowly realize there's no one else in the bar now, not even the bartender. For a quick second, I think this is some local criminal or gang member with how they are acting, but that's definitely not how it feels. I try to look at the guy again, but Gramps squeezes my arm even tighter. Hurts like hell. Friend nudges me and hisses, "Don't look." The second he says this, I can see the guy move out of the corner of my eye. His face turns towards our table and he stands up, walks towards us. I look around at everyone for some hint of what to do, but they are all just looking down. At this point I've had too many drinks to be fully aware of what's happening, so I look directly at the guy. He stops in the middle of the room and just looks back. Honestly just seems like a normal dude. Tall, youngish, broad-shouldered, normal-looking face, bright red hair. We stare at each other for a few seconds when the city boy in me comes out. "The fuck are you looking at?" The guy does not respond, but Gramps finally lets go of my arm and stares at the table even harder. All of them are tense. I've been in lots of fights at this point and gotten in trouble for it, so I'm looking for any sort of sign of what to do here. Same rules for when I'm drinking with any group of guys. If they tell me to leave them alone, I will. They tell me it's time to go, I'll leave. They tell me it's time to square up. I'll do so. But they give me nothing, like they're trying to pretend it's not happening. Eventually, I get pissed off with this guy staring at me. Stand up to my full size, 6'3", and the strong kind of fat lol, and walk towards him. Say some bullshit I can't remember. We got a problem or something. I try to square up to the guy, but I suddenly tap into the fucked up vibe the other guys are feeling. Suddenly realize this guy is not the slightest bit normal. Maybe not even human. His eyes don't seem weird in color or anything, but the way he's looking at me is definitely not right. I'm suddenly terrified, scared as hell, but I retreat back into how I was raised. Do not back down from anyone. My dad is a legit asshole. Tell the guy/thing it's time to leave or whatever, but he does not move. Just keeps staring at me. Feel like I'm about to piss myself. I raise my hand up to punch him, and suddenly, he grabs my wrist in one hand. It fucking burns, like he's got acid on his skin or something. It takes this long for me to realize I'm still holding my beer in my other hand. I smash it against this thing's head and just roar at him, more in pain than anger. He lets go of me and silently turns away. Can't see what damage I've done, if any at all. Then he just walks away. Walks out the door like nothing happened. I notice the barman coming out of the back room. Then my friend and his family are all over me, grabbing my arms and shoulders, asking if I am okay. I tell them I'm fine, I just need another drink. But inside, I'm fucking shaking. I have no idea what just happened. We go home and keep drinking. We stay up till the sunrise playing cards and telling stories, even the old man. I appreciated this because I definitely was not going to be sleeping that night. Feel like that was maybe the point. No one brings up what happened, but for the rest of the visit, it's like I'm everyone's best friend. Get the feeling I did something right. My friends still won't talk to me about what happened that night. It doesn't matter now, and it's better you don't know. Could believe this was just some random bar fight, except that to this day, my wrist is numb where this thing grabbed it. Completely numb. I went to a doctor about it, and he just poked me with a pen a few times. Said maybe I'd had a mild stroke. Pretty sure I messed with something I shouldn't have, but came out on top for sheer luck. Everyone else knew just to ignore this thing, but didn't think to tell me before we went into town. Even now, I'm scratching my wrist. It's still completely numb for a few inches below my right hand. No scar or anything, just numb to the touch. After I told her about it, my GF is in the habit of digging her nails into that spot as hard as she can, or biting the fleshy part on top. Says it feels satisfying for whatever weird reason. But she does not believe the story at all. Agrees with the doctor. Last story I personally experienced, and the longest. I have a couple others, but they are from friends, so some I believe less, some more. If anyone is interested, I'll post them later. Also, any ideas what this was about? In May, 2 years ago, have to watch over a house of a family member who had a stroke and went to a hospital. Okay then. The house is built in the middle of nowhere, literally surrounded by plains with a small patch of woods to the north. Place is clean, spacious, and modern. I bring my PC, only to find his router has a password, which I don't know, and isn't written anywhere. Good thing I still have my small shitty router. The only downside, it fucking smells. Smells like some bizarre mix of vanilla, sap, and some other smell. Check for gas leaks or CO2. Nothing. Call Grandpa. He tells me he doesn't even have gas nor a stove. So what the fuck smells? B kinda freaked out, but at that point, shrug it off. Half a week passes, and nothing exceptional happens. Take a couple walks on the grounds. Only find a couple molehills and a piece of deer shit, but I notice that the smell is stronger during morning or evening. Whatever. Saturday comes, so I go out to the village to get bread and some other stuff. Buy all I need. Notice an information board about the region's history. Read that there are legends of a gate to hell, stone circles built by giants, called stolems here, and an old Protestant church said to have a stone scratched by the devil on it. Cool. Go back and notice that there is something on the doorstep. It's a wooden symbol, looking like pick related. Some teen from the village is messing with me, I guess. Either that or I'm fucked. Let's go with the former. Throw this thing in the trash. Go through my day, only to notice the smell is gone, even though the sun is setting. Take a walk around and go back 20 minutes later. Decide to watch some TV. Around 12 PM, go to sleep. This is where it gets weird. In the dream, I'm inside the house, except I know something is coming. I walk through the rooms until I reach the living room. The TV is on, and on the screen is an old woman with long grey hair and a wrinkled face, wearing robes and a cloak. She looks at me as I go inside the room and says, "It's coming." Even in the dream, I am confused. She says it again much louder, so I ask, "What is coming?" She beckons me to get closer and whispers, "Cord tabu." At this moment, all the lights in the dream turn on, and they are cold, icy blue. The woman screams as the screen is also filled with blue. Then I can feel a pressure or a presence of something big. It feels like something is going to smash the house and me with it. I wake up screaming. The whole house reeks of that smell. The symbol is propped at my window. Shit breaks. Go out and stay in my car. Next day, look throughout the house and outside. Nothing. Google cord tabu. No links that fit with that word. Decide it must have been a dream, and the same shitter who put it on the doorstep put it on the window. Wow, the house ain't gonna clean itself, I guess. Do all the work, then decide to fuck off for the rest of the day. Go to the woodlet outside. At least this place smells normal.jpg. Although I'm kinda surprised how fucking dark it is under like 3 dozen trees. The place is filled with wild pigeons, so have to avoid shit piles. Go back home. Smell is nearly gone. Beat my meat, take a shower, and go to bed, since I did not get much sleep last night. Nothing. No weird dreams, just wake up. I'm okay with that. Next 2 days pass normally. Nothing weird happens. Only have to be there for 3 more days. Nothing happens until next evening. As always, the smell is stronger. At that point, I got used to it. Play on my PC for a while, then head off to sleep. Dream that I am somewhere else. I seem to be on a metal tower, except the metal bends under my feet like jello. I can see woods and buildings as far as the eye can see. The buildings look like they're made of concrete, except they're all wrong. They're bent or upside down, or they have no windows. The weirdest thing is that everything is moving, as if something writhed underground, causing hills to grow and vanish. Even the sky is fucked. Stars spin, and the moon seems to get closer and then further with every move. Then something grabs my shoulder. I try to look around, but I can't. I can only see long, hairy, many jointed fingers on me. Nope. Then I hear a hoarse, loud voice behind me, saying, "Father, come, the door is open." Nope. The whole sky turns the same blue as previously, except a black diamond shape in the center. Hear a buzzing, combined with unrecognizable static-like voices. Wake up as the sun is rising. This time the symbol is in the living room. This time the smell is chemical and meat-like. Find the source of the meaty smell. There is a small pile of dead pigeons across from the door under the tree. Freak the fuck out. Call grandparents. They tell me to call the police. I oblige. Policemen come. Get weirded out. Shrug. Say it must be some messed up kids doing pranks. Oh, okay. Leave as soon as I can. Last year, hear that the family member who owned that place sold it like a month later and moved into a bigger city. Never told anyone why. Any ideas what all that was about? Winter of 2015. I was house sitting for a family friend. It was a small, old, shotgun-style house in a quiet neighborhood. Friend, let's call her Anita, was out of the States for a month while on vacation. Anita was a retiree who enjoyed trips to the Caribbean. My primary job was to ensure that general upkeep was done on the house, and that her pet dog and her fish and the plants were all taken care of. Other than that, as it was closer to my workplace and it was much nicer and warmer, than my actual apartment, I quickly decided that I would be spending nights there after work. As far as the layout, Anita mostly stayed on the first floor of the house. There is a mostly unfinished basement with old crap and a rather cluttered second floor full of antique old lady things, jewelry boxes, hardwood furniture mostly, along with a nice but mostly unused bed. 2 weeks in, I had restocked half the refrigerator, gotten fully in the good graces of her dog, which was the absolute definition of a big old sweetie, etc. 3 weeks in, I was getting a little stir-crazy because I had several days off due to severe bad weather, construction industry, leaving me and an old half-blind golden retriever in a dead quiet neighborhood in the middle of winter. This is when I started to hear shit in the middle of the night. Anita liked her kitsch, at first glance. If you go through her decor and fine china, you'd think that she was fully into the Margaritaville lifestyle, but she was actually more into generic antiques. She liked owls, glass orbs, frogs, cats, chickens, and so on. She actually had full display cases in her real living room full of the stuff. I suppose it was something to do. Anyhow, about 2 a.m. or so, after another workless night, 10 degrees outside, roads iced up, Merry Christmas, etc., I woke up to what I assumed was something that I had feared would happen. The dog was whining, and I heard that the standard dog nails hitting wood sound was likely burned into the brain of most people who happen to own dogs. One of the few things I felt bad about doing when I was revolved around the dog. I slept upstairs. The dog could not climb the stairs, and a senior dog was a senior dog. While I wasn't afraid of cleaning up accidents, partially due to the flooring being mostly hardwood, I could not help but feel partially guilty. Anyway, I got dressed and headed downstairs to check on the dog. Naturally, it's perfectly sound asleep. I decided to check to see if I had just missed the dog doing something unpleasant. After finding no presents in the kitchen or the first floor bedroom, I headed for the living room, where I discovered one of the two very concerning things I found that night. One of the display cases of knickknacks had a single large Wizard of Oz ornament as an elaborate centerpiece, similar to Pick but larger. It had somehow shifted in place. The piece, from as far as I could tell, had somehow shifted itself at a 180-degree angle until the characters depicted on it had their heads facing the interior of the display case. After staring at this for some time, I decided to quickly fix the inexplicable oddity. I had seen it numerous times before, as it's one of the first things one notices when they enter the living room, and head for the kitchen for a glass of milk. While I was chugging at a glass of whole milk, and trying to convince myself the moving ornament was just my imagination, I steadily woke up and realized something was actually off about my surroundings, and that I had possibly failed as a house sitter. So, there's 2 doggy doors in the house. One is a normal insulated model attached to the back door, which leads directly from the left side of the kitchen. I will draw a 1000 hours in MS Paint to your map if needed, along with another attached to the door, which leads to the basement. As it so happened, the one attached to the basement door was moving slightly, as if something had just passed through it. From the basement, I heard a soft thud, along with the sound of a set of nails on hard wood. I think I peed myself a little. For a few seconds, I really did think that I was possibly hearing something else, like some of the plumbing was acting up due to the cold. But while it didn't sound like a stereotypical critter, it sounded like something was moving downstairs, and it couldn't be anything I was aware of. In hindsight, if I was smarter, I would have just parked a chair in front of the door, grabbed a gun and a six-pack, and waited out my time, but I was a grown-ass man. Slowly opened the creaky basement door. The staircase is perhaps 8 feet high, and goes straight down. Dark as pitch. Can't see anything beyond the first few steps in the scant light provided to me. Decide to turn on the light via the cord. I was mentally preparing myself to expect to see, say, a raccoon. What I saw was absolutely nothing. While the basement was full of junk, and some things that looked like they could be a rat's nest, I could not see anything that looked obviously soiled or torn apart. After about 10 minutes of fully assessing the situation, I realized that I could not hear anything that I would call animal noises now, but I still needed to triple check everything in the basement. The basement was cold, damp, dusty, and smelled of old wood. Most of the walls were half hidden by shelves of old records, books, and forgotten knickknacks. There was even a vintage record player on a table, covered with a dusty sheet, like a fucking horror movie prop. Deciding to be a big brave man, I picked up a nearby old wooden baseball bat and decided to gently poke the more flagrant piles of crap. I did this for a solid 40 minutes or so. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Hell, I'd even say that the basement was inexplicably pest-free. As I'm about to climb back upstairs, I hear a soft whining sound. I quickly head upstairs. The dog is trying to get outside, presumably to take a whiz despite the weather. I oblige him and open the back door. I take a moment to think about what's happened, figuring that I'm in the clear as long as I could figure out what happened. For the next 3 days, while I was in what could be called a heightened state of paranoia, I did not hear or see anything particularly weird, although it was possible I was being inattentive or was tuning out stuff. I was reading more, watching less TV, drank some beer that I normally wouldn't do. I found an unopened case of Coors in a mini fridge in the laundry area of the house, and, basically, craving an excuse to leave the house. Road conditions had improved enough that, after nearly 2 weeks of not working, I finally got the call that indicated that yes, they had some limited skeleton crew shifts available. I was low on money and deeply fucking bored, so I decided to do so. While the shift ended at 10 PM, due to the road conditions, fuck the Midwest, I made it back to the house around 1 AM. I wasn't worried about the dog because I had figured out its sleeping schedule and, in a sort of paradoxical logic, recognized that it was still willing to use the doggy door to go outside as it pleased. I took my jacket off, quickly removed my work gear, checked on the dog, and headed for the first floor bathroom to do the free SS. My tenure at the house had roughly 5 days left, and I knew it. I had cleaned the place up a bit, knowing that Anita was coming back soon, and I took my time tidying things up in the kitchen in particularly hiding the damage I had managed to do to her Bloody Mary making supplies. Anyhow, I was lucky that I was in my bathroom when I headed upstairs, because I shit myself after I turned the lights on and looked up. At the top of the staircase, its head looking down at me from the left corner of the stair landing, was the head of what I could only describe as belonging to a chocolate Labrador or a beagle. Its head was small, its eyes were large, and its ears were large but floppy. It was only visible for only a few seconds before it retreated into the upstairs bedroom, sounding like it was scrambling on the hardwood floors in a panic. The sound was unmistakable. I ran upstairs. Obviously, there was no sign of any dog. The upstairs bedroom was spacious but open. There was no room for anything to hide, and the house was simply not big enough for there to be any secret hiding places. After I tore the place up, looking for what I absolutely 100% knew what I saw, I took a moment to breathe, went downstairs, and made myself a cup of coffee. For the record, the dog truly did look 100% mundane. It wasn't overly skinny or scary looking. It wasn't a weird color, etc. It looked like a perfectly normal dog that shouldn't have been there, and it vanished without a trace. I never saw anything like it again in the house, because I didn't stay in the house. Instead, I took the good, wholesome, 100% not paranormal dog with me to my apartment. I returned every day to the house to feed the fish, but that's where my ventures into the house ended. I learned that Anita had a stroke overseas via her relatives. It was bad, and she was in critical condition in some tiny hospital in Barbados until she passed. Her next of kin alerted me of this fact rather late. They let me keep the dog, as no one else had Anita's habit of keeping senior dogs, but that's where my ties to her house ended. Her dog, whose name was Bella, died back in 2017. She was the epitome of a big old sweetie. As of now, I think I might be the only person who has an unhealthy, irrational fear of beagles. It's absurd, but I fucking know what I saw.